What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Walking Manifestator. I'm your host, Alexa Peña, and today I want to share with you a few thoughts on things that can help you break free from the matrix. And I think that if you have ever watched the movie The Matrix, or even if you haven't, you have a general understanding that apparently it's this thing that people keep using to say that you are either awake or sleeping. Now, I want to give you the interpretation of what I've come to understand from living in the program as we know it, therefore allowing you to make your own resolution over what you think that is what it actually means. So, the matrix, to take it a little bit further back, it actually derives from the Latin word womb. A lot of people say like, oh, the matrix is just like whether you're actually, seeing things for what they are, or it's actually something about numbers and all these different perspectives. To simplify it, there's this book I read, and it was talking about how when you're in the womb, right, all you know is the information that you are given. Like, all you know is what you're receiving in that state, right? You are a baby, you're a fetus, you're essentially developing yourself. And all you know at this point is that there is some cord within you. I mean, maybe at this point you don't realize that's what it is. I beg to differ. I think that you are already very, very aware of what it is until you are born, and then you forget, but that's a whole other conversation. But let's just say that what you are aware of is that this is your cord and that is your supply system, right? Because this is how you're being nourished. The matrix, I want you to see it as the same concept. You only know what you are being fed, and to a certain degree, you are kept from a lot of the information that has been passed down for centuries. When people talk about, manifestations, I've heard this, and for a long period, I actually believe this myself. They think that like, oh, manifestations, it's not real. Or on the contrary, they think, well, manifestations is actually the devil, and that's wrong, and that's evil because, the Bible says that, and they start giving you all these like verses. I want to just invite you for a second here to leave all your political, religious, sociology perspectives out of the way for a second, and just be open to the possibility that if you and I were to play the phone game, right, the one that I give you a message through your, ear, and I share that with you, and now I ask you to share that message with 20 other people, 100 other people, by the time that message that I gave you gets to the 100th person, that message has been completely altered in the original information that was given to you. And if you are willing to accept that that is a possibility, right, then we can also argue the fact that many people have sat here and said, well, this is what the Bible said. However, a lot of the verses there were actually passed down and interpreted by different people through history. And this is important because a lot of us, we get so closed-minded to the possibility of there being a different perspective that you don't allow for growth to happen. And this is where the matrix comes into play. Because if you can get behind the fact that as you've developed, as you've grown, there has been a series of events that have happened in your life that have conditioned you to believe in the way that you believe. Okay. And just think about it for a second. If you were somebody that grew up with parents that were constantly criticizing you and telling you you're so fat, you shouldn't eat, you're so ugly, you are the worst, you don't do your homework, you're not smart enough, all these things that they criticized you for, you later went on to criticize yourself for. Therefore, now you were the number one person that was your worst enemy because you were constantly putting yourself down in those internal thoughts. And now, as a reaction, you were also acting this way with other people. For every reaction, there is a bigger action. And this comes down to the way that we have been raised. You see, from the time that we were literally in the womb, okay, there's been studies that have been performed, whether a baby can hear you or not, and do your own research. But I truly believe that by the time that you're in the womb, you're already learning. That's why some people like to play Beethoven for their little one while they're in the womb, or some people like to talk to them. This is actually part of this imprint that you're having that is going into your subconscious. And I want you to think for a second, what have you learned from this year versus what you learned last year? And just hold that thought. And let's take it back a little bit further. Let's say you are, you're born all the way up to your first year. You've already learned behaviors from your parents. Believe it or not, you have already consumed behaviors from your parents. And then you go into year 1 to 2, and then year 2 to 3, 3 year to 4, and so forth. And now, subconsciously, you have had a program downloaded into your subconscious. Now, I want you to think of the mind being one aspect of your brain and the subconscious being another aspect of your brain, okay? You have your left and your right hemisphere. Why is this relevant? Well, because if you were somebody that says, no, I never have internal conversations with myself, I personally think that that is not accurate, because we all, whether you're thinking, what am I going to wear? Or you're thinking what you're going to do, you're having a conversation with yourself, okay? If you were driving and you didn't have your subconscious programming, you wouldn't be able to drive without wrecking your car, because the moment that you're thinking, you are not focusing on what's at hand. That's why a lot of people say the saying of God gave you 2 years to listen more than you talk. When you are having a conversation with somebody and you're constantly thinking about what is the next thing you're going to respond to them, that actually causes a dysfunction, right? You're now not actually understanding what they're saying to you, because you're already thinking of what you're going to respond to them. And if you can follow that, you can now start understanding the way that your brain works. There's automatic behaviors that you have, which we consider autopilot, right? You're on autopilot. Most of us are on autopilot until you become aware of what programming you're constantly downloading. You see, you have a super computer in you. That is your brain. Your brain has the capacity that is a lot more efficient than that of a computer. And this has been said by scientists, this has been said by psychologists. This is something that many people have actually proven to be true. But the reality is that most people don't take the time to understand what that supercomputer does. Okay. Now, why this plays a factor in breaking free from the matrix is because the number one thing you need to become aware of in order for you to actually be worthy of yourself and realizing that you're worthy of that information that is already accessible to you is by becoming aware of your limiting beliefs. You see, the subconscious programming that has programmed you to believe that you're not worthy is what keeps you in that same frequency. You keep saying to yourself, oh, well, I'm never going to find that ideal partner because I am unlovable. Oh, I'm never going to be happy because I don't have money. I, X, Y, and Z, fill in the blank. We all have a story. And when you start recognizing these patterns, you can have a pattern interruption. Okay. This means you recognize it while it's happening in order for you to break free from it. You see, many people are simply walking literally through this world, through this journey, and they're not actually living, they're only alive. And that is something that if you really dissect it, you're recognizing like, man, like I'm so consumed with the next big thing. I'm so consumed with making more money. I'm so consumed with, getting the house, the car, the instant gratification that I forget to enjoy the moment. And this is something that I personally have worked on and I continue to work on, because it's easy to get consumed with seeing other people and what they're doing and what they're achieving and wanting more for yourself. But if you really step back and you start dissecting what you want out of life, what is the true meaning of life? I believe it's to enjoy the present moment. And as you can start recognizing that and recognizing that tomorrow really isn't promised, you can start enjoying the moment now. How many people have you heard say, look at the picture and they're like, oh man, that was a good time. Oh man, I looked good. But in that moment, you didn't see it that way. In that moment, you didn't feel that way. And in that moment, you didn't think that way. So, starting to understand that breaking free from the matrix is simply breaking free from those patterns that you have been conditioned to believe. You see, there's a lot of people that have issues with other, religions, other ethnicities, other perspectives because their programming from the time that they were born was they are your enemy. And as long as you believe that, no matter if you know this person or not, you already think that they are the worst. And this is where the programming of the matrix comes into play because you are being programmed to such a degree that you don't even actually recognize you have been programmed. And as you start going through your life, ask yourself, like, what is it about this moment that is upsetting me so much? What is it about this moment that I can learn from? What is it about myself that is currently coming through? And why am I reacting in this way? Subtle questions can make a huge difference. Most people, we are just constantly thinking about random things. You have over 20,000 thoughts every single day from the moment of what is it that I'm thinking that I'm going to eat? What is it that I'm going to wear? What is it that am I going to go left or am I going to go right? You have all these thoughts. And these thoughts are not being conducive to your environment if you're not controlling your thoughts. Becoming aware is the first step for you to break free from the actual matrix, the limiting beliefs that you have. And something that can help you like I said earlier, understand is that you have your conscious and your subconscious. And a lot of people sometimes think like, oh man, affirmations, like that doesn't work for me. And I find that very funny because I'm like, okay, like how long have you been trying this affirmation for? And they're like, oh, well, I give it a week. I gave it a whole week and nothing happened. And then I'm like, okay, well, how long have you been telling yourself these negative beliefs? And then we dissect it and it's like, oh man, like, well, I don't remember the ones from when I was a baby. Therefore, maybe about, let's say age 7, this is what I've been telling myself up until now. Oh, okay. So it's been over 20, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, whatever it is that you've been telling yourself this, and you expect that a week is going to completely change everything, right? You're going to completely change your subconscious mind. And if you think about it that way, it's like, that makes sense, right? It takes you going to the gym for a continuous period of time in order for you to see the results. And then it takes you actually continuing to go to the gym in order for you to keep those results. And then it takes you actually making sure you're eating healthy foods in order for you to also have that work hand in hand with the progress that you're making at the gym. Because I know that when I'm not eating the healthiest, I start seeing, those jeans do not fit me the way that they did. This is so important because this is the one tangible thing that if you ask right now, what is the one thing, Alexa, the one thing that you would tell me to start actually implementing in my life for me to become aware of this matrix that I have allowed to be built around me? I would tell you become aware. Become aware of how you're judging others. Become aware of how you're judging yourself. Become aware of what you're telling yourself constantly. Are you telling yourself you're beautiful? Or are you telling yourself, man, I'm not good enough? Are you telling yourself that you are intelligent, or right before you go and speak to people, you're telling yourself, oh my gosh, I'm the worst speaker? All of these things are so important because the moment that you tell yourself, I'm worthy, the moment you say, I am capable, I am intelligent, I am full of wisdom, it is like a magnet. And I am telling you because I've tested it and many people have tested it. They have seen it happen where they start saying negative things and it's like negative things are coming into fruition, and then they change and they're like positivity and they start saying all these affirmations, and because they've been so conditioned to now implement that in their life, they see results, I mean, instantly for some people. And I've had that happen for myself whenever I am focusing on something like the podcast, or I'm focusing on some of our coaching clients for Walking Manifestator. And I am like, okay, I'm in this state where I want to give my all to my client. I'm in this state of I want to give all to this viewer. I feel like in a very like subconscious level, I just say like, okay, I'm going to focus on this. And the energy that I'm radiating out allows for the interruptions to dissipate to the point where I'm able to focus on what I need to focus. And then when I'm done, I'm like, okay, I am ready. More opportunities are coming. I'm so thankful. And opportunities, literally, I am business to move forward. And you have this within you. Whatever it is you're doing. I was talking to this agent and they were having a conversation with their client, and the client, was really excited because they were going to buy their first house, but then some stuff happened and they were going to lose some hours, and now they were concerned about the fact that they didn't know if they could really move forward with paying the rent for the house while the mortgage. And I was like, I'm hearing the conversation play out. I couldn't help but think, I was like, man, like if that was my client, I'd be telling them like, look, whether you think you can or you think you can't, it's up to you. But let me ask you, like, have you ever been, on the streets? Like, have you ever left your family without eating? Have you ever stopped making your rent payments? And I'm willing to bet the answer is no, because he still, has his house where he's renting. And if we just understood that when there is a decision that we make, the universe provides us with all the tools that we need. But when you're so consumed on the I can't make it happen, the universe is going to give you that you are seeking, because you are a creator. You are the creator of your own reality. And it doesn't matter if you've had bumpy situations in your road that have happened, you get to choose today that you don't want that to be the case for your tomorrow. We have the power, and most of us, sometimes we get so consumed with breaking free from the matrix that we allow things to get very stagnant because we're just so consumed in this like spirituality that we're not even making time for like the moment. You came here to live out this plan that you created for yourself. I believe in the fact that we are here for a reason, and I believe that we are part of the creator, that everything is one. And if you are willing to be open to that perspective, think about it. If you had everything, everything, what all the possible variations of everything. And if you are the creator, what would be the only other way for you to expand your conscious awareness? Because you know everything already. You are everything. So what if you playing the creator, you are now going to section yourself off into all these little versions of you, and it's something that you're like now sending them to earth, and you're like, okay, who do you want to be? Okay, and what struggles do you want to go through? Oh, well, I want to go through this because I want to learn about facing X, Y, and Z, and I want to learn about, maybe not having house because I want to be able to actually at one point in my life, go through all these struggles for me to actually enjoy my house when I have it. And you know what? I want to know what it feels like to not have parents, because then maybe later I'm actually going to really appreciate being able to talk to other people that didn't have parents. And I know this sounds like a far idea, but that's what I personally have really resonated with. I believe that we are all part of this like cosmic creation that is a conscious energy, and we all have the power to tap into it. You see, there's many amazing people that have shared testimonials of their journey to such a degree that you can't help but listen. You can't help but consider the fact that you are a creator and you have the power within you. And if you read, I recommend you read The Gospel of Peace. This is actually the teachings of Jesus Christ. He shared a lot of his teachings that shared how whenever, in this tradition, they would go into a home, they would actually say, peace be with you. Because if you come back to the fact that breaking free of the matrix is understanding that by becoming no thing, you are everything. By being nowhere, you are everywhere. By being no one, you are everyone. And this is where the law of one comes into play, because when you understand that you are everything, you can't help but, even in the moments of struggle, break yourself from that limiting belief and say, I chose to go through this experience. What can I learn? So if you can implement this, I am telling you, you're going to be light years away from your old programming. Things that can help you that I personally have implemented is journaling and asking myself, like, how do I feel? Why did I react this way? What can I improve on? Ask a better question and you will get a better answer. I promise you. And also affirmations. Affirmations are going to allow you to start tapping into the subconscious. And even if you wake up and you're like, man, I really don't feel like working, just catch that and say, I'm so thankful I get to go to work. I am so thankful I am alive. I'm so thankful that I am worthy. I'm so thankful of being loved, of the wisdom, of the courage that I have. And you know that phrase that says, fake it till you'll make it? I know a lot of people don't like that, but honestly, that is one of the things that has helped me get to the state where I now don't fake it. I know it. I know that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It's not a matter of if I'm going to help people. It's a matter of when I help people. It's not a matter of if I'm going to provide for my family. It's when I am constantly providing for my family because I'm constantly growing and evolving and open to receiving. You see, if you can start really programming your subconscious, whenever you start having a limiting belief, you catch it, you're like, oh, I caught it. No, we're not doing this. Because I am telling you, you are the consciousness. You are the consciousness above your thoughts. You are the awareness above your thoughts. You are not those thoughts. Those thoughts are created from your limiting beliefs, based off your paradigm, based off your upbringing, based off your imprint, based off your program. So with that being said, I strongly encourage you every night, listen to something that is going to remind you of who and what you are. I love listening to audibles. I love listening to podcasts. And every night when I'm going to go to bed, I actually go onto like YouTube and I'll search depending on what I'm in the mood for, whether it's, hypnotic programming for confidence, whether it's a hypnotic programming for abundance or positivity. I play that at night because it's tapping into my subconscious. And this has actually been proven by, hypnosis. It is programming you to start tapping into this so that when you wake up, you're not in this like, oh, I hate my life state. You're in this, wow, I get to be alive state. So with that being said, I want to thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Remember, you are absolutely worth it. And no matter what you've gone through, that does not define who you are. That is simply an old version of you. And you get the choice to choose today to be a different and better version of yourself. And remember, you have to visualize in order to embody and become the walking manifestator that you are. Sending you much love, and I will talk to you guys on the next one.